Hello, everyone. I am Anferni Gerald M. Zaspa. I am the front-end developer of the project, and this is my co-developer.
I am Vincent Alfred B. Tomas. I am the backend developer.
And our application name is ZappCash. So, this is the overview of the application. ZappCash is an accounting application that enables its users to monitor and control their finances. We take inspiration from software such as NewCash. It aims to manage the user's financial data for future reference. In addition, this application is a very good, or it's a great alternative for spreadsheet programs like Excel and Google Spreadsheets. And everything that comes along with using said programs, like managing and editing numerous cells. The idea of the application was birthed in the hope of providing individuals with the liberty to easily keep track of their finances and hopefully allow them to develop smarter and better financial habits. Now we move on to the objectives of the application. The objectives include the following: create a double entry bookkeeping system, provide multiple account support, implement ZappCash file system, design a timely and easy to use graphical interface. Now for the first objective, the project will implement a method of recording such that transactions will reflect as debit or credit in at least two separate accounts. The second objective, the project will allow the creation and management of multiple financial accounts and their respective transactions. For the third objective, the project will create files that the user may open to load up the accounts and transactions saved within the file. For the fourth and final objective, the project will apply an intuitive design to the application's user interface that will enable users to easily interact with the application and navigate through its windows and components. One of the goals here is also to set our application apart from the application that we took inspiration from by improving on the somewhat outdated design or appearance of NewCash. Moving on to the scope and limitations, ZappCash is an accounting application. First of all, it is an accounting application. It only deals with the recording of transactions by the user and does not have the capability, I repeat, does not have the capability to actually implement any of these transactions. So the ZappCash files are also created but are not accessible by other programs. So you cannot open them using Excel or Google Spreadsheets or any other applications. Furthermore, the project does not possess any current functionality that allows it to interact with other software and applications. So again, we do not have functions yet that allow us to connect to Excel or allow us to connect to Google Spreadsheets or to Microsoft Word to be able to present reports and etc. So some missing features for the application include the following, but of course these are not limited to those listed below. First, we have the duplicate transaction function, which is the project will be able to, of course, duplicate a certain transaction, and the balance or amount for the accounts involved with the said transaction will change accordingly. So we do not have, unfortunately, we do not have that function here. The duplicate account function is also absent from the project. This function will be able to duplicate a selected account. The balance or amount for the affected parent accounts should also change accordingly. So for the next limitation, the export transactions as CSV files is also missing from the project. This basically means that the project will be able to export ZappCash files as CSV files. This is where the bridging comes in between programs. So if we were to have this function, Microsoft Excel and Google Spreadsheets would be able to access the financial data saved within the ZappCash files. Unfortunately, that function is absent as of now. Lastly, we go on to the export report function. Now, this function entails that their project will be able to export a financial report of a given ZappCash file in PDF format. Now, that would be very helpful and very useful, but as of now, we sadly do not have this function. Now we are going to be moving on to the complete program run through, and I'm going to be passing over the presentation to Mr. Tomas.
This is ZappCash, our take on a double entry application software. Once you start it up, you have this window. This window has two buttons, either new file or open file. If you already have a file, you can press open file and it will ask you to open a file. But for now, we still don't have a file, so we will make a new file. Once a new file has been created, it will automatically generate accounts for us to start. So as of now, these contain 0 transactions. Now, if the accounts here does not align with what you want, you can always add a new account. You can add an account named, for example, this is going to be in a current asset. For example, I want to add Gcash. And opening balance, for example, I have 1,993 and 13 centavos. And create an account. Congratulations, you have successfully added an account. Now back to the accounts. It will automatically be placed under the current asset since we have selected current asset as its parent account before. Now here, Gcash. And it will, as it is a double entry application, we will automatically also have an opposite or a mirrored transaction in opening balances, since we added an opening balance of 1,993 and 13 centavos. Now let's enter the Gcash account. In the Gcash account, we have here the Gcash transactions, where every transaction will be shown in this list. We can either double click to edit the changes or click somewhere else to delete, or add a transaction here. For example, we have 1,000 plus amount and we wish to buy, what do we want to buy? We wish to buy groceries. So let's name this food. Now the description can be empty, the number can be empty. The software doesn't care if you have an empty number, empty description, or empty amount. It does not care. However, for these purposes, we will buy, how much would we want? We want to buy 350.15, some groceries, and send it to food. Now add transactions, back to transactions, it is now here. Now, for example, we have mistyped 15 centavos and it is actually 14 centavos. We can just edit it, 14, save changes, and it will automatically be updated. Now let's return. For example, we lost our phone, so we don't have our Gcash anymore. That's not really what happened. But for example, we don't want our Gcash anymore. We can just edit our Gcash account and delete them. Do you want to delete this item? Yes. Okay, we will delete it. Now Gcash is now gone here. It's vanished. And all of its transactions are also gone. So that is all the features. Now, because I did not save it, it will scream at me, say you have unsaved changes, save before exiting. But I don't want to save it since it's just a draft. Okay, now we're back in the main menu. However, I have prepared before this, I have prepared a file. So let's open a file and let's, would you look at that? We have test1.zapcash and we also have test1.zapcash, a date, and then .zapcash. This is a backup. Whenever it asks you to save, it automatically creates a backup save. However, if you have not saved it at least once, it will not make one. So let's open here. And as you can see, we have here a save document where we have a weekly allowance, transportation, lunch, deposit, food. And that's pretty much it. And we save. We can also save as to save it to another place. And that is for the software. This is ZappCash. We can exit out of that, and let me show you the code. This is ZappCash.exe. Inside ZappCash.exe, we have a lot of things. We have we have intestines, we have large intestines, we have small intestines, we have those stuff. Once you run ZappCash, it will run ZappCash, the source file. Inside ZappCash, we have program.cs, we have accountsmanager.cs, and filemanager.cs. And we have an unused UI manager since we did not really put anything in it. Now, inside the program is just main. Inside main, we have this one. So once the program starts, it first asks if it is in debug mode or not. Since it is false here, we will not go to debug mode. The debug mode is a hidden thing, so you don't need to worry about that. We will enter the page that I showed you a while ago. Now, if we open that, we will enter the main page. Main page is in forms. Forms. Here are all the forms that we have. Oh, it's already here. I don't need to explain the other stuff. I don't need to manually open stuff. It's already here. So once we start the program, we go to main page. And then when we click any of the two, either new or the open file, we will enter the accounts page, the one I showed you earlier. In accounts page, we have edit accounts and add accounts. And transactions page. If we double click, those are the three actions in that window. In the edit account, we edit the account and then stuff, and then return back to the accounts page once we're done. The same with the make account. However, in the make account, if we add a make account, we will tell the user that you have successfully created an account. You have witnessed that a while ago as well. And in the transactions page, there are also the same amount of actions. We can either edit the transaction or add a new transaction. In the add a new transaction, we have the same prompt as with making a new transaction. And that will give us the successful transactions. Now, close that. Those are the forms, the front end side. Now, for the back end side, everything is already here. In the back end side, there are only two major code files. We have the accounts manager and the file manager. In the accounts manager, we have here a lot of actions. It's a lot. It's a lot of it. We have here new file, the one a while ago, and then in new file we also have edit account, new account, an unused delete account. We have another delete account, get transactions. We have delete transaction, get account, and then a lot more. You can just pause the video if you want to read all of these. They're also in the documentation somewhere in the universe that we have put. They're also in the documentation. I have built a lot in the back end so that the front end can be easily built. These are the accounts manager. All of the features that I showed you a while ago is made possible by the account manager. Now, for the file manager has less contents because it only does the. Let me exit this. It's too small already. Go away. There we go. Now it's larger. In the file manager, we have the save, and then we check all the save. We have a lot. Do I need to explain everything to you? You can just pause and read if you want. There's read file, open file, very complex stuff that you don't need to know because we already built it for you in the application. You only just need to think about what will I add to the transaction, when will I add it, what date will I put it, and then what file where do I save it? You don't need to know all of this because it's the backend. The backend is one of the most difficult, not difficult, it's one of the most underappreciated things because it's the backend. You don't see anything in the backend, you just see code. Okay. Now for the classes, we also have classes. For classes, we have a lot of classes. We have a class for account. Oh no, wrong button. Oh, it's broken. Oh wait, no, it's not broken. It's over here. You have classes for the... Oh, it's over here pala. Load. Here we go. We have classes for account class. We also have a transaction class. We also have a... Wait, can I exit that? There we go, so that it's cleaner. We also have an account class. We have a transaction class. We have an account attributes class. We also have a file record class and some ZappCash defaults, stuff that I built for our ease of working. Because the purpose of object-oriented programming is to make programming easier on the next levels. Now, in the account, we don't really need to go into it. It's just it's just an object that stores the values of an account, and including the transaction. It's just an object that stores the values of the object, including date. Is it a parent? Is it not? It's low-level stuff. And then as we stack on top of them, it goes higher and higher levels. It's just, they're basic objects. For example, let's open this. See, an account can hold, is it a placeholder? Its parent ID, it can hold its parent ID. Its asset type, it can hold USD as well. But we did not implement that because we're out of time. We have decimals, we have ID, attributes, transactions, and balance. As you can see, they're just simple. However, with this simplicity, we can build such more complex stuff. Now I'm lagging already. Let's close that. I don't know why it's still lagging. Why it's lagging. I already closed them. But that's everything. What else do you need to know? We have sequential structures already. The sequence on where to click, what happens when you click this. Those are we have decision structures. We ask, the code asks for what called it if, for example, let's just start it. So open file. No, new file. Then return this one. This one is a decision structure already. If. Those are just ifs. And then for, no, I don't want, go away. And then for repetition structures, we did not use while though. We also did not use for. We only use for each. For each is kind of good. No, it's not kind of good. It's very good. Now, for each, where did I use for each? For each was used in creating the drop-down was created in the drop-down for the edit account. For this, the parent account, this one. Now, if we open that, we can see here for each. That's already a repetition structure. We have a lot. Every time we look for something, we use for each and then check if it is it. And then we have unique string methods. We have string methods. Every time we display a text, it's using string methods. Also, when saving the file, it's using a string method. Text file manipulation. .zapcash. The .zapcash file is a text file. If you treat it as a text file, but it's not really a text file, it's encrypted. But it's file. And we have lists and dictionaries. We have lists. The accounts are actually lists. Now, if we enter the database folder, here you can see that all accounts that were saved are lists. Database contains a list of accounts for the account. And then for what else? We have functions. We need functions. Where did I use functions? The entire backend is functions. The entire backend is functions. I built functions. They're all functions. Let's see, account manager. All of these are functions. Functions. You just have to call them to perform an action. You don't need to make an instance of it. They're functions. Now, graphical user interface. The entire front end is a graphical user interface. This is a graphical user interface. This is a graphical user interface. Anything graphical that is a user interface is a graphical user interface. Now, what else? Designing with classes. As I told earlier, we have a lot of classes. We have an account class. We have a defaults class, a file class, and a transaction class. Oh, and before I forget, let us check something that I forgot to show earlier. We have, I mentioned it earlier, but I forgot to show it. But we have, if for example, assets. We have assets. We have a savings account. For example, we don't want the word savings account because we don't want the word saving account. Let's change it. Let's turn it into bank of mine. Let's turn it into bank of mine. Let's save the changes. Do you want to save the changes? Yes, we want to save the changes. Now, don't be surprised. It will be named Bank of Mine. But I don't want Bank of Mine anymore. Let's delete Bank of Mine. I hate Bank of Mine. It's now gone, including its transactions. Now, that is all for the program run through and its code. Now let's get back to Anferni Zaspa for the continuation of this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Tomas, for the complete program run through. Now we're going to be finishing with the final part of the presentation, the results, conclusions, and recommendations. Now, of course, ZappCash was able to achieve all of the objectives set for the project. Certain improvements can be made to the application, however. This starts with the addition of the lacking features stated under scopes and limitations. These are the duplicate transaction function, the duplicate account function, the export transactions as CSV files, the export report function. Now, the addition of the following features and functions are also encouraged for future developers that want to take on the project. As you can see, we have here the 4 functions I enumerated earlier. You have the release installer, the save file icon. The save file icon is basically the same as the edit and the delete file icon there. But instead of deleting or editing, it's gonna save, of course. We also would like to suggest embedding the font to the application because as of now, it was very challenging on our end to embed the font that we used for the design. So to be able to see the actual design as it was intended, you're going to have to install the package or the font package in your system. So we would like to propose to have that font embedded into the application. Now, next we have the memory usage optimization. As you can see earlier, on Vincent Tomas's end, he was starting to lag a bit because that is, of course, this is still an application and it's still going to use a lot of memory. So memory usage optimization would definitely be one of the project recommendations. At the application hard disk size, of course, we would like to scale it down as much as possible. Save file optimization, we want faster saves, more dependent saves, etc. And then for the last 3, we have the program architecture overhaul, the database overhaul, encryption overhaul. If future developers can find ways to make processes more efficient, processes easier, processes more logical, the databases, everything related to the project and make it more efficient, then of course we would gladly recommend that to everyone else. But for now, that's pretty much it. This has been our presentation. Mr. Tomas and I are very proud of what we were able to do. And yeah, that's basically it. So thank you for listening. And this was ZappCash.